Sure is hot out there. Yep. It's midday. Well, 11:30. By Father's time, man-made 12:30, you know, at their Central Standard Daylight Savings Time. And we got a few clouds today. Otherwise, a nice blue sky. And we're hoping, maybe, they'll all group together and give us a little rain. But we got a chore to do. Well, not a chore. It's not a need. Well, maybe it is. But it's a want to, too. So, we're up under the shade. But at some point, we'll have to cross that blazing savanna. Yeah, the cemetery. To get back to the old home place. Maybe it'll be a little bit more cloudier than sunny at that time. Our midday temperature, well, depending on where you look, 97 to 99. And of course, that's in the shade. Not out there where those folks are resting, deep in the ground. Hello there, friends and family. So good to see you. And I see you found me over here on the side of the road. About, before we're heading into the big woods. Now I can tell you, just from walking across the street there, into these woods and into the shade, woo, that temperature is falling way off. And I'm so glad. But I wanted to come over here and check on something, again, that I forgot about. Something we talked about the last time we were in these woods, walking around. Yeah, and since when it is this darn hot, and hopefully it's not wherever you may be in this whole wide world, you need to stay in the shade, at the very least. And if you can afford it, stay in the AC, inside. And I know for myself, as I know for many of y'all, that AC's getting to be quite expensive. And is once again becoming a luxury, like it was when most of us were in our childhoods and in our young adult years. Yeah, for most of us, we can remember the days before AC came to town. But yeah, I want to get over here and hopefully avoid the sun, because in this here thickness of this here canopy, it's rather enjoyable, I must say. I can survive in this. And that brings up the question, or the answer. That's exactly what my parents did. My grandparents, my great-grands, and family from before then. You know, what'd they do? I'm sure. When they could, and when they were able, they got in the shade. Of course, that was back in the times when, most of your life was dedicated to feeding yourself. Farming, raising animals, and of course, back in the day, having to work for a living far more than what people even do now, even though it looks like it may be going back that way. But things are looking sad over here, where they normally look mighty fine. Let me show you just what this here extreme heat wave, the last couple of weeks, and now a drought is doing to my little piece of paradise in the south of Alabama. Well, here we go. And I talked about this. This is poke salad. It's actually got a passion vine growing in it too. But you can see how droopy the poke salad is from this heat, as it's currently in the blazing sun. And you'll be able to hear it. The grass is just crunching under my feet. Not a lick of moisture in it. But I want you to look at here. Look at this. Now, I'm not sure what kind of plants these are. They're wild, of course. But the last time we were over here, these were lush and green. Now look at them, all drooped down, drying out. Some of the leaves are so dry, I doubt they'll recover. Right here is a passion vine. Right there will be that beautiful purple flower. And if it's pollinated, then there'll be the passion fruit. But like I'm seeing in my own gardens, even though I water now twice a day, yeah, every day. Well, see, these, they haven't been watered. Maybe they were blessed by that 4/10 of an inch of rainfall we got back on the 15th. That seems so long ago now, considering it's the 24th. Yeah, that was 9 days ago, the last time any rain fell upon this ground. And with 9 days of heat in the high 90s to low hundreds, and I'm not talking heat index, I'm talking temperature, in the shade, which is where we're going to step into now. And I mean, sitting out there in that, standing out there in that direct sun, woo, it will burn you down. But hey, here's some promising sight. Something I don't see as much of anymore. And I've talked about it with other friends, you know, preppers, survivalists, bushcrafters. And that's lamb's quarter. Yeah, totally edible. In fact, can be right downright yummy green. Yep, you ain't seen any of that in a while. It's still hanging on because apparently it stays in the shade. And you can just see here, this pokes out. See? Looking much better than the ones out in the blazing heat and sun. But we didn't come here, really, to look at what was going on in nature's battle during this drought. Nope. We came to get us something. Well, that was the primary reason. And that's right over here. And y'all recognize it. And came over to get us some of these leek seed. Yes, we did. We're not going to take them all, but we're going to take a couple. And we're going to bring it on over to the home place and let it continue to dry. Well, in fact, I think I'll take that one right there that looks really dry, and then the other. And I brought a bag. I'm going to put it in it and let it continue to dry. And later on, I'll separate the seed. So let me get my bag and let me get this collected. Some of it's already fallen off on the ground. But if you got a good sniffer, even if you can't see this, you'd be able to find it by smelling it. The scent is strong. In fact, here's a weird thing. I just found this on the ground. And there are 4 cloves of what appear to be garlic. Yep, surely they are. Just found this. So was this where they had their leeks and their garlic planted? Because remember, this is the site of a very old homestead, or farmstead as they were known. Yep, they subsistence farmed. What'd that mean? They raised their own food. Because there wasn't like no superfoods or Safeway, Publix, Costco, or nothing like that back when this place was active. So hey, I know part of it's leeks. And I got 4 cloves of garlic. Yeah, that I'm also going to plant to continue it on over on My home place. And these larger seed heads, yeah, they'll either fall down or the wind will blow them around, or I'll come back in time to distribute them around. Yeah, they still got a ways to go. Looking pretty green. So I'm thinking, need to check back on these same time next week. So y'all remind me, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to come on over here and check the seed, okay? So we'll just put this in our little bag. Ain't much. There we go. We got what we came for, or like always, we think we got what we came for. But I don't want to go back out in that blazing sun. And you can see everything's woo, dry as a Savannah bone. Yeah, well, it was this way the last time too. Yeah, I can't lie. But it's drier now. I don't think it crunched as bad as it does now. I gotta do something with this bag before I lose it. So friends and family, since we're over here and we're wanting to stay in the shade and not do too much, and it is a beautiful day. Light breeze, you know, other than the blazing heat and sun, it's rather enjoyable in the shade. So hey, let's take a walk and see what we can see. Are you up to it? Well, if you are, come on with me. Let's go see what we can find. Yep, this folk salad looks a whole lot better than what's out in that there sun. Imagine that. So some of it'll survive, and it'll reseed itself and continue on. I'll bet we scare up some deer in here somewhere, because they'll be bedding down for today. Hopefully we won't scare up anything else a little bit meaner, like bobcat. Have done that over here in years past, or coyotes. Of course, if I make enough noise, and you know, with me and all of y'all talking, we should scare them on off in front of us or to the sides. You know, in all truth, they don't like us all that much. And there's remnants of that old farm, the outbuildings and all of that, all throughout here. You know, brick, block, stuff of that nature. But it is interesting to see how nature is dealing with this extreme heat and drought. Ooh, look at these here nice vines. Yep, that's some of that there smilax, greenbrier. Of course, there'll be some muscadine mixed up in here too. Yeah, it's pretty darn growed up in here. But everything is looking thirsty. Surely it is. I mean, normally this would be so thick we couldn't even navigate through it. But by weaving back and forth, as I'm sure the animals do, we're able to go through too. Yep, I'm seeing some muscadine on the floor. Forest floor. So some of these vines reaching way up in the canopy will be muscadine and most likely possum grape, as well as smilax, American greenbrier. And actually what we're in right here isn't native at all. In fact, at one time, we'd be standing in a big Chinese privet hedge thicket. Yep, invasive. But here's what's happened. The Chinese privet sprouted up because the birds eat the berries. Where all the people had the hedges, you know, all trimmed up, looking fine and fancy. And it starts a thicket like this. I mean, you've seen it over on my place too. It's everywhere. But what's happened here is the thicket has met a stronger and more competent invasive species. Yeah. And it's not the muscadine or possum grape or even the greenbrier. No, up there, climbing up into the canopy, is another invasive species that was brought here for a purpose. Yep, good intentions have now caused literally, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres in the south to be consumed and invaded. And what might that invasive species be? Well, that would be kudzu. Look it up. And yeah, people say, well, you can eat it. You can. Cows will eat it. If they ain't got nothing else to eat. Goats will eat it. Lammies, no. Bunnies, no. Goats will, but here again, they'll eat every darn thing else before they eat the kudzu. And that's especially true with cows. Take it from a man that's had both. Well, I've had cows, had goats, and I've had kudzu. Oh, looks like we found a nice groundhog down there. Yeah, looks fairly active. Probably in there getting away from this heat too. I don't blame them. That's what I'm down deep in here as well. And I'm starting to go into this here, I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a gorge in between the two ridge tops of the Piedmont Plateau. And we're trying to stay in the shade. Now granted, we're not all that far from the house. And we got our cell phone, we got a knife, we got water, we got our wallet. Not that that would come in all that handy here in the deep dark woods. Yeah. And I found a natural trail. Well, it's not a trail, it's actually during the rainy season, wet season. This would be where water would run off the top of that ridge. I'm also in another place that has some, I guess you might say, sacred meaning. But we'll just leave it at that. And a lot of times, these places that were sacred a long time ago, you know, when the Native Americans roamed these parts, yeah, they'd be around something similar to this. And you can see this right here. Yeah, sort of kind of looks familiar, don't it? This is a massive oak, and I mean massive. Yeah. Not quite as large as the ones in the one in my backyard, but I'm thinking about the size of the one in the front. Yeah, it is huge, but it's suffering some issues. You can see it's dropped some major limbs out right here, and mine were doing the same. That's why I had an arborist come and trim it all up instead of cutting it all down. Only time will tell if that was a wise decision. You hear the wind in the top of the trees. And like I say, what we're doing right now is following this, what is now a dried up stream bed. Right here. And it's going to take us lower and lower into the river gorge below. There's all kinds of spiders. So if you're going to do a walkabout in the woods, you sort of got to be, oh, a little bit cognizant of spiders as well. You sort of got to just meander around. Try to find your way. Right there is another massive tree. When people log these areas out, they'll leave those large trees as seed trees. Yeah, to continue to produce acorns and drop them and repopulate the forest. But I can see that kudzu right up there is making its climb up that tree. And if you've ever seen kudzu, whether it's, you know, out here in real life or on old Mr. Google, you'll know. No matter how tall a tree climbs to the sky, the kudzu can follow it up, cover it up until it dies. Yep. Because it wasn't meant to be here. In fact, if you actually do some research, like I've done in the past, you'll find out that a lot of our problems in nature, especially with invasive species, whether they're plant or animal, actually came to be more from good intentions than from accidents. You'll see that, as I have. Of course, I mean, they didn't know. Wherever they visited, it looked good to them. So they thought they'd give it a go. Maybe it'd do the same thing here in the parts of America where it was replanted that it had in its native country. Of course, they should have took into consideration climate, predators, yeah, all that kind of stuff. But maybe we didn't know as much then, and I'm sure we didn't, as we do now. But it's been a long time since I've been in this part of the deep woods. And it is full of nature. Here's another groundhog burrow. Yeah, now I've got one too over in my place. We affectionately call him George. And George, he's rather shy. And I mean that he will eat my plants. But we've sort of come to a gentleman agreement. You know, he can get anything he wants out of the compost pile. And I buy him bread. He likes bread. And he's not picky. He's just fine with store bread or stale bread. He, like I say, George, not too picky. Maybe one time I'll catch him on camera. Who knows? We might find something roaming these woods or jump one up. Hopefully, like I say, it's a deer or groundhog or something friendly. See, right here is some of that there smilax greenbrier. And this is one of my favorites, ever so tasty. And if you're out here, didn't bring your water and all that, woo, these are full of water. As soon as you break it off, it just comes running out. And I sort of call them, you know, the Native American asparagus. They sort of remind me of that in flavor, especially when they're cooked. Yeah. And I'll tell you, whether you eat them raw or cooked, they're tasty. I don't mind them at all. I can chop them up and put them on salad. And never fear, that point will grow back in about a week. And there's another tip right there. I didn't know we were going to have lunch out here. Did you? So yeah, friends and family, I guess you got to take lunch whenever you can get it or find it. And this is tasty. If you like raw asparagus or even green beans, it's sort of a combo flavor. I think it tastes more like asparagus, this particular variety. And that's something to note. There's somewhere between 300 and 350 varieties of smilax growing in North America, Central America, and South America. In fact, I think a variety of some kind grows almost anywhere in the world. Yeah, and I've identified at least a dozen over on my home place that I munch on all the time. Oh, and if you're craving water, dehydrated, yeah, it's juicy. Now that ain't as good as a finely grilled burger, steak, pork chop, chicken leg. But in a pinch, it'll do. And I'll bet my Native American brothers knew about smilax too. What do you think? Yeah, I think they did. But hey, get with somebody in your local area. You know, one of them they're experts. Yeah, and watch them eat it first. Yeah, maybe get, you know, some recommendations. But anyway, never go up traipsing out in the woods or in your yard just based off a YouTube video, even on Mr. Tom's. Hey, I do these things to inspire you to do your research, learn more, and find a local person in your area that knows all about fine dining out in the wilderness around you, wherever you may be. Okay? Whew. Now, I hadn't ate breakfast was coffee. So you might well say I didn't eat breakfast. And I didn't do lunch. So, technically, I'm eating lunch now as we go. But you never know what you'll see and find out here. That is a fact. I was really surprised to see that lamb's quarter. I just don't see much of it anymore this far south. We had quite a bit of it. North Alabama and up in southern Tennessee. Right there is another variety of smilax, greenbrier, 2 older vines, and 2 newer climbing to the sky. Yep, they surely are. Yep, starting to get a little concerning here on the water issue, because here's another place that would normally be running if we were getting ample rainfall, but it's bone dry. I do know on my place, pretty much, we haven't even got an inch. In fact, I've carried you to this place right here on another video when we were talking about, something the title was, In Search of the Flavor, something like that, and this was running. Of course, if I had to remember, that was back in February, March, or maybe April. You do the videos and you lose track of them. Some of you keep track of them better than I do. There's another burrow right there. Ooh, and that fern, which normally would look all nice and green and vigorous, well, it's looking pale and awful dry too. So yeah, this forest is needing a drink. I'm sure the trees though, I haven't seen that there worst of signs for a drought. You might wonder what that is. And that's when the leaves start falling. Yeah. And I've noticed a little bit of that. Yeah, on my oaks in my own yard. Yes, I have. And that's been quite concerning. Of course, I can lay down some water on the oaks. But here, only God can do that. Now, as I was standing here, I noticed another. Edible, both edible and medicinal. Yeah, and you know, y'all always worry about me cutting down some of my elderberry. Well, right there, across on the bank, is a new elderberry sprouting up. There's another one right down here. Another one right over there that I can see. 3 new ones right here within 5 or 6 feet of me. Yeah, maybe the birds ate the elderberries from my place and came over here and deposited them. Because, yeah, I'm seeing sacred bamboo down in here. Yeah, which was an ornamental way back in the day. And now it too grows wild. Woo! There's got to be a lot of groundhogs up in here. Because here is another den. In fact, they're all over here. There's one. There's another one right there. It's like we found a subdivision. Well, I bet they were here because water was plentiful. Now, none to be had. And see, if we go without rain much longer, the deer, the groundhogs, the possums, everything will start to migrate to my place. They'll come out of the big woods as they have before. And the one thing they'll do is they'll devour everything I had. Just like they did in 2018 and 2019. Wasn't so bad in 2020 because the drought was broke. Yeah. And I didn't do that much last year. But never seen hide nor hair of one. But I'm thinking, if this heat persists, as well as the drought, yeah, I'll see plenty of them. Because here, I'm seeing way down here where the water is still seeping out from under the ridge. Yep. So indeed, there's still water. It hasn't all went away. But as we came on down, you know, all those steps would have been waterfalls. And I can tell this is a wet area because we got, you know, native rhododendron, native fern, plus I can tell animals are wearing paths down here. And see, it's coming out of that there big, dark, deep hole there in front of y'all. Yeah, you know, back in feudal times, they would have believed an ogre was up in there. Yeah. Or maybe one of them wood nymphs or elves. Hey, there still could be, couldn't there? But yep. This is now where the animals have to come to get a drink and get some, just get some reprise from this blazing sun. Listen to it as it trickles out from the ridge above. And I don't know if you can hear that, but I could. And I could hear this before I saw it, since it's down below, you know, my level of sight. You know, we were up there, standing just a few minutes ago. And I can see holes all in this bank. Yep. And they're old holes. Yeah. Could be from animals. Or it could be from people. You see, there's a lot of different minerals and even gemstones in this part of Alabama. Well, all along what's known as the Piedmont Uplift, which starts or ends here, you know, where I take you down to the coastal plains, heading down to the Gulf of Mexico, further south. Well, from here, since this is pretty much the end, yeah, it goes all the way on up through, eastern central Alabama, up in to the northwestern corner of Georgia, and then on up throughout the Appalachians. Yeah. Yep. Now I'm going to tell you what. You see these ferns? They're not wilting at all. There's a lot of water. Even all that's nice and moist, even though the water is way below. So it's seeping out all around here. And that's why the ferns are still living. The sprague moss is growing on the walls. The dragonflies are buzzing around. But it don't go far on down there till it goes back underground again. Well, I'm sure it'll pop its head up further below. But with that breeze and the shade and the coolness here, in fact, if you really want to know, there's a cool breeze coming out of that hole. It's really comfortable right here. I know you might not believe it, but it is. And you can just tell by how overgrown along here this has become. It's so thick I can't hardly see a way through it. That'll tell you right there. There's water or moisture here. Wherever it's the greenest, that's where you'll find the water. But like I say, it goes underground. Oh no, it's still trickling down through there. Ever so small. Huh. Oh. We're going to get back up here on the bank. And I don't think we're going to go any deeper, further down than we already have been. That wasn't the purpose of the walk. Nope. The purpose of the walk was to get us some leek seed. And we were blessed by some garlic. I didn't look to see if there was more, but I'm sure there was. We just took our 4 cloves and we're going to head on back to the house. We got 4 cloves of ancient wild garlic. Well, it's wild now. Surely it wasn't at one time. And we got us 2 seed pods or seed heads from the leeks. Now they'd already shed some of their seeds there in that patch, and that's a good thing. They were only maybe a third to half full. And there were many more seed heads there, as well as a second location that all of you know about. And we're here by another massive tree. Yep. And that is actually tulip popular. You don't see tulip popular that massive anymore. Oh no. That's rather rare. Make fine lumber, especially for shipbuilding. And since they always grow so straight, they were prized for ship masts. You know, back in the days of sailing, which may be coming back. With the way these oil prices, gasoline and diesel, lubricants are going. That's another reason I'm out here walking in the woods, enjoying nature. Yeah, I almost thought about taking a ride, and I go, nope. Nope, got a half tank left. We're going to stretch it till we can't stretch it no more. Yeah, just like I got to have a talk later with the kitty crew. Yeah, Fast Food Friday. Yep, it may have seen its better days. If you've been to the fast food favorite of your choice, you know it's just got plain stupid. And I'm seeing, like I do around a lot of old places, yeah, they had to have a place for the garbage. In fact, when James and I used to go looking for old mines and homesteads and plantations and that, you know, that had long been gone, we actually looked for the garbage pit first. Normally it'd be down back of a ravine. Yep, or in some gully. And it might be overgrown. One we actually found when I walked right slap into it. And I started hearing the cans crush under my feet. And I'm actually standing in one right now. Yep, I looked down and surely I am. Remember when cans had a pull tab like that? You pulled it slap off. And that became a problem. So they fixed the problem by making them where they don't come off unless you sit there and bend them, bend them, bend them. Now this is actually a Falstaff beer can. Yeah. Somebody was fond of it. Yeah, and there's a old whiskey bottle probably. But it's got a screw cap. So it's not an ancient one. That's probably sometime in the 20th century. You know, it could be from the 20s, the 40s, the 50s. I'm not up on my bottles. But there's actually several of them up through there. There's another one. There's a green one with a twist off cap. That's fairly modern. But deeper and darker as you go, there's older ones. This one too is a screw cap. All full of dirt now. Quite heavy. Yeah, you never know what you find out here. In many years and many times as I've been in this big woods, it always ceases to amaze me what I come across. Sometimes it's for the good, and sometimes not so good. And we're not too far up off the road, and only a few blocks from the house. But I'm seeing another animal trail right here. Maybe you can pick it up too and tell where they've been walking through. I surely can. I wonder where the animals are off to. Yeah. But I don't know if you've noticed it. I know I have. And it's not just because I'm traipsing around and running my mouth. It's been dead quiet. And that's more about the animals conserving their own energy than it is anything else in this here oppressive heat. Yep. We're going to try to avoid that spider web. I got them hanging off my brim. Yep. Yeah, one day we'll come over here. Hey, I see a flower pot down in there. But it's a plastic one. And we got plenty. See what I'm saying? Never know what you find. Like right here. Now, I don't know what that is, but I do know what it's made of. And that's concrete. The very old kind that they made with native sand and wood ash. Yeah, I've been looking into that. There's another piece of something right down there of the same stuff. And like I say, this is at one time was a trash dump. Probably when that farm was going along. Who knows? That almost looks like some old grist mill stuff. Yep, and I'm thinking it was. Because right up here is the remnants of a whole lot of that, what, native concrete. There was something right here back in the day. Yeah, could it have been a feed mill or grist mill for grinding corn? Yeah, I don't know. But it's interesting. I know as far as old photographs, especially aerial ones, nope, which, you know, started in the early 40s. Nothing here but trees. Yeah, well, further that way, there were cultivated fields, which now is forest. And I looked at those old aerial photographs, and I watched this area transition from working farms to the forest you're seeing now. Not that the fact that there wasn't places that weren't forested, and old forest even back then. But yeah, if you went down through this here gorge and went up on the ridge top on the other side, yeah, one time that was pasture land and cultivated field. Surely it was. Yeah, during the winter time, in the dimness of the night, I like to look back at history in my local area and where my ancestors were from. You know, where they settled. In northwestern PA, southwestern New York State, on up through Quebec, Canada, what is now Quebec, Canada. Yeah, that's where the bulk of my family set out to make a stand and make a life in what was then the New World. Yep. I wonder if they worried about the the crash of the economy. You know, yeah, their favorite yogurt was out at Costco or Walmart. Hey, times have changed a lot. No, I think they were busy making sure they could eat every single day. And if they weren't farmers, and many of them were, and some were not, yeah, they were everything from blacksmiths to tanners, you know, somebody who tans hides. Yeah, wagon makers and wheel makers and what have you. Yeah. And I'll guarantee you every one of them had a huge family garden. Something that everybody here on YouTube says everybody needs to do again. And this year, I just don't see much of it. Yeah, and I see a lot of people grow some stuff. I'm not really seeing any more than I've seen in the past. Maybe they really don't believe that the end of the world is coming soon. Now this is just, I don't understand this. That is a terracotta clay pot, and it's filled with concrete. Yep, it's got some of that there forest foam. That's what's in the center right there. So you know what? I'll bet back in the day, for them putting flowers, you know, when they visit the graves, they would get these terracotta pots, fill them up with concrete, place that there piece of foam in the center right there. See? You can see it's that green forest foam. And, you know, stick the plastic flowers in it. Yeah, I'll bet. Because there's one there. There's another broken one there. Here's another concrete insert right here. And that foam's right there in the center. Here's one upside down plastic pot filled with concrete. Yeah. So I guess at one time people got away from it. Or the city got away from letting people do it. Yep. Probably getting knocked over. Getting out in the way of the mowers. Stuff like that nature. See? Find all kind of interesting things out here in the big woods. Well, I wonder just exactly where we're at, you know, in relationship to the house. I hear the birds are starting to sing again. And that's a sign. That's a good sign. And maybe it's not so hot again. I wonder if I can break out here. Oh, we haven't been that far. So there's the flagpole. Woo! You can smell that heat coming off that asphalt and off of that ground over there on the cemetery. We're going to try to get out of here. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be possible. It's rather thick. So we'll find another way. Now I know some of you like to take the walks with me, and others don't, and they're too long. But you know what? You look at a video and you can see how long it's going to be. And with me, pretty much you can see by the thumbnail what it's all about. I don't do clickbait most of the times unless it's going to be funny. Try to, you know, get a little levity. Yep. It just ain't wanting to let us out of the woods. Nope, it looks passable, but then it ain't. Well, hey, let me put you in my pocket so I don't lose you, because we've done that before. And once we get outside, we'll chat a little more. Well, friends and family, we finally broke through that underbrush. We're back out here by the road. And sometimes I think I'm guided to places where I need to be, because I didn't know this was here, growing up this tree. Yep, which is another big old oak. Let me show you what I found. Another edible that I first found laying on the ground. Surely I did. Yeah, I'll show you on the ground first, and then I'll show you where it came from. Well, I was looking down and I see this. You can see that right there. You might wonder what that is. And so did I. And then it dawned on me. You see, it's too big for a possum grape, but it's not too big yet for a muscadine. Yep. That's an immature muscadine. Surely it is. And because of this here excessive heat and drought, they're starting to fall. But here's the vine right here. And you can see them right on it. There's two. There's a third one. Here we got a cluster of 4. There's one, and I'm sure there's another one. As you go on up and follow that vine, I'm sure there'll be thousands to tens of thousands more. But also climbing up this oak, of course, there's the kudzu. Yep. Here's a variety of my favorite edible. Not the same one we lunched on earlier, but another smilax, greenbrier. So that's 2. Actually, we've seen many more. So the greenbrier is climbing up the old oak. The kudzu, which will win in the end. And muscadine behind. Yeah, we really need some rain, because I can remember where these are. And maybe come over in the fall when they finally get nice, plump, and ripe, and enjoy a few. Because it's been forever since I've been either looking and harvesting wild muscadines. Didn't even know they were there. So that was sort of cool. So y'all, I'm just glad to get on out of that deep woods. I mean, I could have spent the day. I could have slipped off my shoes, slipped my feet off. You know, they're hot and tired, not to mention old and sore. And I could have just dangled them off in that little stream that was coming out from under the ridge. I'm sure it would have been nice and cool. I'm sure it was. And the mimosa trees pretty much finishing up their blossom time. Oh, there they are right there. You know, they got these fronds. And these close up at night. If you got any around your area, check that out. They'll actually fold together once the sun goes down. Or so I remember from when I was a child. Yeah, it's quite beautiful when it has all their pink flowers. And these are a little past their prime. Yeah, last time we took a ride, yeah, they were all along the side of the roads. And you can see Mr. Bumble there. He's working what's left of the blossoms. Getting what little bit of pollen is left to be had. Go for it, Mr. Bumble. Hey, you know, if you need some more pollen, come on over to Mr. Tom's place. We got cucumber pollen, squash pollen, tomato pollen. Yeah. You're invited. Bring your friends and family. Okay, Mr. Bumblebee? And I got fresh, cool water in the bird bath for you with a rock, just so you don't drown. Hey, we're accommodating folks. Just saying. So maybe he'll follow us over. You never know. Oh, there's some more. Muscadine vines right there. But don't see no fruit. Oh, yes, I do. Hey, they're all along here. And I never knew. Yeah. Ain't a lot on this one. Right here, but there's another one, as you can see. Oh my. This is a wild cherry tree. And those, my friends, are wild cherries that you see. I mean, we just stumbled along here on the side of the road that's been here forevermore into a virtual native food forest we have. Well, the rhododendron, it'll be blooming soon, as you can see right here. Or maybe it's already bloomed and gone, and I missed it. I'm not real up on that. But there's a lot of Chinese privet along the roadside, as well as the Japanese honeysuckle. Yep. Another invasive species too. Yeah, and there we got a honey locust right there in front of us. Looks similar to leaves to a moringa tree, but it's not. Remember the thorns on its trunk that I showed you videos ago? This is another one. People probably wonder what this old man's up to that don't know me all that well. Talking into the black box. You go from the sun to the shade, it's just like a sudden drop in temperature. Totally unbelievable. And here's another common shrub. Well, it was common in households. And there used to be a lot of this red cedar in this big old woods long time ago. But for whatever reason, whether it was logged out or a fire or something, I figure it was logged. Because there was a time red cedar was cherished for its furniture. Making furniture out of it. Yeah, it was a thing in the South. Surely it was. You would almost think it was late fall, early winter, listening to the crunch of the leaves below my feet, and I'm seeing some fall. I mean, it looks so inviting down in there in that shade, since we've already been in there and know how pleasurable it is. And there's something I always knew. You see, back in the, I would say, 60s and before air conditioning got really prevalent, and you may not got air conditioning until the 70s and 80s, I don't know for sure. I know when we first got our very first, we were living in a mobile home in Mountain View Trailer Park, Monroeville, Alabama we were, and couldn't afford a new one, but one of Daddy's friends in the military, he was in the Army, was moving, and they were selling their air conditioner. It was a Fetters. No, it was a GE, 23,000 BTU. And I think Daddy gave $200 for it. Yeah, it was used. And of course, he brought it home. I don't know how in the world he got it in the trunk of that there 4-door Chevy Bel Air, but they did. And of course, more of it was hanging out than was in it. He brought it home on a Friday. And me and him made the stand for it and enclosed it. Of course, we stuck it in the dining room window because the dining room of that mobile home was right in the middle. And we turned one vent down the hallway and one vent up into the living room. And of course, mine and my brother's room was up in the front, just past the living room. So the way the trailer was laid out was it had a front bedroom. Me and my brother shared with bunk beds. Then we had a living room. Then we had an eating kitchen, with dining area, cooking area, cabinets, sink and all that. Then there was a hallway, and there was a small bedroom on the left. That was for my sister Kathy. Until in later years, my baby sister would be born. Of course, Kathy was my baby sister until Becky was born. And she really became my baby sister since I was 12 when she was born, or 13. Yeah, 13. Anyway, then there was a bathroom, just single bath. There was a place for a washer, no dryer back then. And of course, I guess you would say the master bedroom, Mom and Dad's, at the end, very end, in the back. And that was it. I think it was 60 long and 12 wide. Yeah. For the 5 of us. And later, 6. Ooh, and we thought we were living in the Ritz when we got that air conditioner. Yeah, now the car had one. But up until 1969, we had never had an air conditioner in anywhere we lived. Whether on base or the trailers Mom and Dad owned before, and certainly not up in PA and New York State. No, this wasn't a thing back then. I wonder if it is now. I bet it is. And while I was sitting there jabber-jawing about that, I saw something I've been wanting to find. And here again, you don't find it often in the deep south. Now, what is this? Well, and there's one right here in front of me, not a big one. And there's another one, smaller one growing down there, and maybe there's more. This is a sassafras tree. And I can remember when I was a little boy, all the way on up into early manhood, my family would dig up the roots, dry them, then they'd chip them, and they would then make sassafras tea. And if you're from up in the Northeast, you'll know about that. And if you don't, look into it. Yep, Woo, and it was so good. I really did enjoy it. It's been forever since I've had any. Those are awful small, so I'll just probably leave them be. See, like I say, I've never really walked down this road per se. Just drive by. You never see what's out here until you leave the car at home and walk along. See what you can see. And even then, most people would pay it no mind. Hey, there's some honeysuckle. They're shriveling up too in this heat. Yep, won't be no honey in them to suckle. Well, see some immature pecans growing. One right there. Yeah, right there it is. Maybe my trees. You never know where the squirrels will bury the nuts. Well, we're a block down from the house now. Let's head her on back, if you don't mind. Oh my. It's a blazing. And you just cannot believe what a change it is to come out even there on the side of the road next to that tar and gravel road. What it's like from the shade to this blazing sunshine. Oh, that looks peaceful and relaxing. And as you can see, many are relaxing under those ancient oaks. In fact, I've said it before, that's where the cemetery all started before. Yep, before it spread out to what it is. And what amazes me, since I've been living here, how much more. In fact, up here by the sign and by that green garbage can used to be the main entrance. Well, it still is. But everything on this side was a cemetery when I came here. Everything on the far side was empty. Not a soul laid to rest. And now look at it. It's actually a larger section, if that tells you anything, than the original. What's that say to you? Of course, I'll tell you straight up. Since 2020, woo, I've got a lot more neighbors. And they just didn't come to visit, they came to stay. In just this short time, I've been sort of walking in this loose gravel and native sand here on the side of the road. My feet are already a burning hot. Of course, we're not that far from the old home place, the little cottage under the oaks. I want to thank you all for coming along and walk with me today as we gathered up our leek seed. Hey, a bonus. 4 cloves of garlic too. And probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them, wrap them all up in tissue, put them in a Ziploc, Oh, here we are in our own shade of our own massive oak. Ooh, we're thankful for her. Yes, we are. Yeah. But we'll wrap 4 cloves up in tissue. And we'll put it in a Ziploc, and I'll throw it down in the crisper drawer. Because it's the whole wrong time of year to be planting garlic here. Nope, that's for later on in the year. Like November. First part, or any time thereof. Yeah. I'm just happy to have looked down and found it. Hey, let's all go on in and get something to drink. And there's far too many of you. So we'll have to come out here. Sit here on the grass, or if you brought your own chairs, set them up. And we'll have a talk for a bit on the old front porch. Okay? I gotta put up the kiddies' treats. I left them out. Good thing kiddies didn't get them open, or somebody come by and steal them. Because, hey, they're from viewers like you. They're fans. Thank you ever so much. If they were around, which I'm sure they're not far, they'd tell you thank you too. Hey, let's get a cold drink and chat a little more. Oh, I forgot. I've got my water bottle on. The one my daughter and my grandson gave me. Oh yeah, so we can have some nice cool water. I'd put it in the freezer before I started out today. But hey, y'all can go in. There's a strawberry Fanta, Barb's root beer, Coca-Cola, pink lemonade in the door of the refrigerator, as well as some sweet tea in the fridge, and some milk if you want it. Or I can always make up a pot of herbal tea. Let me know. Feel free to help yourself. And then we'll chat a little before we go. Well, there you are, friends and family. And as you can see, we're on the front porch. We got our nice stainless steel water bottle that we got here. And yeah, we're perspiring. Yeah, we've been out there going on for about what? At least a couple of hours or more. Yeah, and I know people say you shouldn't be out in this here blazing heat. Yeah, in bright sunshine. Of course, most of the time we were not in the bright sunshine. We were in the deep dark shade, and it was rather enjoyable. And we found what we went for. We found our leek seed. We got an extra surprise, 4 cloves of garlic. And we saw some interesting things along the way, or at least I thought they were. And something that made me feel a little bit better about life, and I was wondering about, was water supply. You see, when we were walking down that dry spring bed, that was a little disconcerting to me, because normally it's got water running, and it's not that far from the house. So in case everything went to crap, that would be a nice close water supply. And since back in the day I had it tested, it's totally fine. But yeah, I'm glad we followed it on down to where once more, straight out of the side of the ridge, as you saw, out of the big old hole, which may have been dug into it at some point in time back in history. What do you think? I'm thinking maybe so. Yeah, because I found many of those springs that once were used by Native Americans, and then the pioneers and farmers to come. Used to have a couple of places on my lower ridge farm in southern Tennessee. In fact, the one was so famous that it was actually on the map. Yeah, surely was, because at one point in time the trail came right on through what would be my farm way back in the days of old Daniel Boone and David Crockett. Surely it would. Yeah, it was on the old maps, not nothing new. It wasn't a tourist attraction. Well, maybe it was back in those days. But as you saw, we found a dump, and we found some interesting clay pots and finally figured out the reason. So hey, it's nothing more. We got what we want. We had an enjoyable walk, relaxing and comfortable, didn't stress out. I'm not sure if the world's still going, you know, with everything they say here on YouTube. It could all be gone by now, but at least for here, we're still a living and a stroking and carrying on. So hey, I'm going to enjoy some cool, crisp, clean water, okay? Whatever you got out of the fridge, enjoy for yourself. Woo. It's still cool after all that time. Hey, that's a fine water bottle. Thank you, Ashley and Davey. Every time I carry it, I appreciate you and love you more. See, life don't get no better than that. It really doesn't. So, wherever you may be, friends and family, hope you're enjoying your day, or at least you're staying cool, safe, and you're well and happy with your friends, family, and loved ones too. Until I and the kitty crew, which I'm sure is somewhere close, and of course Gracie and Lilybit too, we all see you on the next video. Take care. Stay safe. Stay cool. And may God bless you as you bless others. Goodbye for now. Lilybit, I'm back home. I'll be in a minute, okay? Let me sort of cool down before I come in there to your air-conditioned comfort, okay? You hear me? She looks like a China doll. Yep. She's a special one. She loves me to death. As I do her. Whew. I'm going to de-stress and de-cool right here before I go in later on.